we that's the problem, was we spend so much time demonizing the homeless instead of trying to actually solve homelessness. We don't attack poverty anymore. We attack the poor.
The poor, yeah.
We don't attack homelessness. We attack the homeless. We don't attack addiction. We attack the addicts. The addicts. Yeah, that sounded really right? We attack the addicts. And that's the way our society has built itself up over the past 20 years. Is we don't actually work on trying to solve the problem. We attack the symptoms of the problem. And if you look at any of the different social issues that we have these days, it's always an attack on the symptoms, never an attack on the cause. And that's where we need to really focus on, especially with what you guys are doing, is actually trying to focus on it. A homeless person that doesn't have a home doesn't have a place that they can get mail. A homeless person that doesn't have some sort of a phone or an email account doesn't have a way to send out resumes to try to get a job to get themselves off the street.
Yeah.
Because they can't, they don't have the contact information required by most services that look through resumes.
Or a place to take a shower so that
right.
they can't interview, because those places take
a shower so that they're
full.
clean when they go to an interview, to have the proper types of clothes to go to an interview. The deck is stacked against them, and society promotes that. Honestly, it really does. It promotes the idea that, well, if you're homeless, then it must be something that you deserve.
You're an alcoholic. You're a drug addict. You're this
right.
or that. And that's
so they don't
bullshit.
step up and actually do something to change that. And that's where we as a society really needs to actually get our heads out of our asses. Because the best thing that you can do is to help another person.
But we don't care unless it is something that directly affects us or something
unless
we
there's
know.
some sort of
personal
gain from it, people are not likely to do it. And,
God,
and that's
people
sad.
suck for the most part. I mean, Jesus, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Imagine.
Well, that's why one of the things we say at Building Simple is housing is healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is part of your recovery to have a roof over your head. And, one of the reasons a lot of individuals turn to drugs when they're houseless, not everyone, but, a nice chunk of them, is because they don't have a stable living environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they're stressed out and they're worried and, they just don't know where else to go and how else to cope with it. So that becomes the coping mechanism.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we as a society then blame them for using that as a coping mechanism and then blame that as the reason why they're homeless, which is just totally backwards. But that's just me. Yeah. That's just the way I look at it. Boy, I got quiet all of a sudden, didn't it?
My ears just popped.
Right?
And that's fun. Yeah. And Alexa's over there being all nice and quiet. She's not talking much.
Alexa. Weather.
Currently, in Apache Junction, it's 82 degrees with clear skies. Tonight, you can look for mostly clear skies, with a low of 58 degrees.
Alexa.
Our personal assistant.
Thank you.
Sure.
Alexa, what is the meaning of life?
Oh, Jesus.
The answer is 42, but the question is more complicated.
Well, then there's the fun one. Alexa, define jackass.
The term jackass has a couple of meanings. As a noun, 1. A man who is a stupid, incompetent fool. 2. Male donkey.
I like how the stupid incompetent
Alexa.
fool is the first one.
Fuck you.
That could be both.
She didn't hear you.
Alexa. Go fuck yourself.
This isn't a conversation I'm capable of having.
Sure it is. You just did. We have fun with Alexa.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Alexa is, it's the Amazon Echo Dot. and we can hook her up into our mixer so she can actually.
She's like the
right
size of
it.
a fucking ring ding. So I mean, she's very portable.
Ring ding.
A
What the
hostess
fuck is
ring
a
ding. A hostess ring ding.
I don't know what that is. Okay,
Hockey
that to me is hockey puck. Okay,
covered in
There's a different-
chocolate.
No, there's no chocolate on that. It's a hockey puck size.
I'll put some fucking chocolate on.
Yeah,
that
I'm
shit.
sure you will. Wow, that just escalated. So, so how do you in the next year? How do you see the tiny houses project progressing over the next year?
Over the next year, we'll have probably 2 of our sites open, hopefully. And that'll house approximately 40-ish people, 50-ish people. Hopefully more. Just depends on what land we can have available to us. So, like I said, I hate to keep begging, but, we nonprofits have to do that. If anyone has any land available that they're not using, that they'd be interested in donating, would really help us out a lot.
Well, the federal government has a whole bunch of BLM land that would be good for that. I doubt they'll give it to you, though.
There's a federal law. Well, there's a federal law that says that any underutilized or unutilized property has to be used for homelessness first before they can use it for anything else. So I looked in the Federal Register where they list all this property, and Arizona has 3 of them. The problem is all 3 of them are in the Army bases, and you can't get access to them without clearance. So didn't do us a whole lot of good.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, why would you want to do that? Weird. It's just a fucked up way to do things here in the country, isn't it? God.
No, I just think it's...
We have this land, but you can't get to it because
No,
you don't have security
I think
clearance.
it's very self-serving.
Well, yeah. So people want money, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Dicks.
Yeah, because it's really sad. Because like when we leave work, because we kind of work downtownish, and when we leave work, we're talking like 19th Ave and Grand, 19th Ave and Van Buren or whatnot. You see people out there with shopping carts wandering around all the time, and it's it's one of those things where it's like I wish I could help, but I can't help all of you at once. I mean, I don't have the money to be able to just pass out a whole bunch of money to help you. So projects that work to actually help get these people off the street, I think should be more important to our cities and our state than it is at this point in time. Because of the fact that instead of trying to hide the problem, we need to solve the problem. Now, when the Super Bowl came, the whole idea was to hide the problem, to basically prevent the homeless from being around, make sure we don't see anybody that's homeless or anybody that looks like they're homeless, etc., which, is kind of degrading to people that are doing everything they can just to survive on the streets. And I think that's, what was the other one that they did? They had, they just recently, was it last legislative session where they passed the bill, or would it have been a city thing, where they passed the bill where it was illegal to panhandle on street corners or on the...
Oh, yeah, you can't do it at any station, yeah.
Yeah, the center divide or whatnot, or the median in between, you couldn't panhandle, you couldn't ask for money or any of that kind of stuff. I think it was a city
And you also
ordinance.
can't hit the stop button unless you're actually going to go across.
Say that again?
They also made it so you can't hit the button to cross unless you're actually going to cross. So a lot of individuals would do that so they'd get more time to panhandle. Supposedly,
right, stop traffic.
That was happening. Right. Supposedly, this was like massive, all over the place. Like every single stops, everywhere there was a stoplight, this was occurring. This is just a really big incident. But I mean, we have all these problems in our state, and these are the kind of bills that we're coming up with from our leaders.
Right. Well, our leaders are kind of well paid and well off, so it doesn't affect them.
Dicks.
Yeah, and they're pricks. So, it's kind of a trifecta there. But yeah, I remember when that one passed, where they were talking about, preventing people from being able to panhandle, using the stoplights to stop vehicles and stuff like that. But that's the thing, is, I mean, I can't remember, have they closed the MASH yet? Was it MASH that was going to get closed?
I don't know if it's been completely closed yet.
Oh, you talking about the men's overflow shelter?
Yeah.
The MOS is completely shut down, and there's still people sleeping currently now on the Human Services campus.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues we held a sign up that said "Open your door, City of Phoenix," because we went and got the fire. How many people can be in the building? You know how there's a fire code.
Right. There's the
people can be in the building.
Yeah.
So apparently, Cass can hold over 1,000 people, and they're only sleeping 500 or 600 a night. So we're like, hello, you could do a little better than this.
Yeah, you can add a few hundred more.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the things is we actually went down there with Michelle and visited down there once, and we took some donations and stuff down there. And it happened to be a day where they had somebody coming in to actually that was actually doing like feeding the homeless. And there was a huge line. I mean, there were hundreds of people lined up. And so you would figure they come from all over that area just to stand in line to get a hot dog and a bag of potato chips. And it's sad to see that that's what these people have had to actually do to be able to survive.
The fact that that's the highlight of their day is to fucking eat. That's just...
Well, it could be worse.
Well, it's especially busy on Saturdays and Sundays because St. Vincent de Paul isn't open to feed them. So a lot of church groups open their hearts and they come out and they do feeding. But one of the issues, I do want to put a little note out there. If you are going to do a feeding, please clean up after yourself because that's one of the biggest issues that people get food and then they just kind of dump what they don't want on the floor. So if you're going to do a feeding, bring garbage bags. Bring a way to gather up all the garbage because we're trying to clean up that area and make it livable for individuals.
So you want to pack out your trash, folks, all the time.
It's just something a lot of people don't think of. I mean, their heart's in the right place, but when you plan any event, you got to think about the logistics as much as you can.
Right, yeah. And a lot of people don't think about that kind of stuff. And so it's always a good idea to just kind of put that information out there so people can be aware. So yeah, I mean, with the tiny houses and everything like that, do you think that we really have a good chance here in Arizona of actually making that successful to the point where we can actually make a dent in the homeless problem?
Well, like I said, the greatest thing is there's money available, and I'm not going to call organizations out by name, but I call them the Wonderful Five or the Faithful Five, and there's these 5 organizations that go to these meetings, and they're the 5 organizations that always get the money from the government. And those are the ones that are building these $150,000 to $250,000 a door units. So what we're trying to do is show the government it doesn't have to cost that much to house people.
Mm-hmm. Now, once you get past
hopefully they'll see that in their area. Oh, go ahead.
So once you get past the actual design and conceptualization stage, and you guys actually start building these tiny houses, is that something that people can volunteer to come help do?
Oh, definitely. We're going to need contractors to come in, to do project management. We're going to need individuals to come in and help us put up, if it's a stick build or if it's a SIP or if it's a block wall or whatever. We're going to need individuals to help us do that, and it'll help us save on costs. So it'll make it even more affordable, and which means we can build even more units to put more people in housing.
Mm. Yeah, because, I mean, even if you can't donate your time, donating of materials is always a help. Donating your time if you are a skilled laborer, like, for example, if you're an electrician or a carpenter, a mason or whatnot, you can donate your time to help build these homes to give somebody a chance. It doesn't require money.
Right.
It requires time. It requires your skills. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to actually get people to actually donate their time and stuff to do that. I mean, I've been working on setting up solar panels